Okay ladies, today we're here to talk about conflict management and how to deal with it in the workplace. The FCC has just changed its policies and procedures to try and allow managers and team members to deal with conflict a little bit better. Today we're going to start off with the definition of conflict. Does anybody know what conflict is? Conflict management?
I think having an issue, whether it be with another team member or even just about an issue, so needing help with something.
Yeah. And managing the issue effectively?
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes we can't manage the issue by ourselves. Sometimes we need an external opinion, a mediator, just somebody's guidance. So conflict management can be defined as being able to recognise a need and the conflict itself. We need to be able to handle it sensibly and effectively. So it's no point realising that there's conflict and doing nothing about it. The only thing that's going to happen is it's going to get bigger, the person's going to get angrier, it's going to bottle up inside, and there's going to be an explosion one day. So conflict is unavoidable. You can do things to try and avoid it, but eventually there is going to be an instance in the workplace of conflict. Unfortunately, conflict is considered bad, but it does have its benefits. With conflict, innovation can come out. You can find a better way to do something. You can also get to know your team member better that you've been having an argument with. You might discover that they have opinions that are a little bit different to yours, and that's why they had the issue to begin with. As soon as you get over that, you can start working together better. Okay, so the next step is about communication. So to be able to effectively communicate with each other, there's a couple of activities I want to go through. The first is if we can write up, if you guys can give me a couple of examples of how we can effectively communicate with each other and how we can communicate our issues better. So, so communication, the first one would be active listening. So when we actively listen, we are looking at the person, we are creating eye contact, we are using our tone of voice, we are actively seeking that person to talk. We want them to talk. We're not sitting there scrolling through Instagram on our phone, looking at Facebook, looking at Twitter. We want to listen to that person.
So we're giving them our attention, our time.
Absolutely. Can you think of any? Any forms of communication? No? Alright, so another one that we can do is appropriate language. So you don't want to be sitting with somebody and swearing, say for instance. It's not an appropriate language in a business, in a workforce. We also want to be aware of our body language. So if we've got our arms crossed when we're in a conversation, we're automatically closed off. We are not in a state that somebody wants to approach us. If you're open, you're comfortable, you've got a comfortable stance, you're more approachable. People want to talk to you. Okay. A couple of other ones. A favourite of mine is I talk. So if there is an issue in the workplace, you don't want to say, you always do this. You want to say, I have seen that this occurred on this date. I think there is a problem. You don't want to say, you have an issue with running late all the time. It's not constructive. Which leads us into constructive and positive feedback. So constructive and positive feedback are excellent forms of communication. Negative feedback is not. So any form of constructive, the team member will get something out of. Positive, they will definitely get something out of, but negative, all you're doing is tearing them down. It's not a good way to communicate with each other. Thank you, Angie. Another way is when somebody is actually talking, being an active part of that conversation. So saying yes and those kind of things during a conversation is really important. It shows that they're talking, they may be talking for 5 minutes straight. You're listening, but you're showing that you're listening. You're responding at the end of the sentence. You're nodding your head. You're showing that you're listening. Okay, and the last one is empathy. So if somebody's telling a bad story, it's really not appropriate to smile, perhaps. Show empathy. You don't need to say, oh, I'm so sorry, it's so sad, but you can say, I can understand how you feel. I feel bad for you. You don't have to feel bad. You just feel their pain. You don't have to have it with yours. So if we can actively communicate with our team, it's forming the foundation of better communication. And that way, hopefully, conflict is less. We can lessen conflict. If we are in a workplace that has good communication and we can talk to each other, hopefully we don't actually get to the part where we're conflicting. We've got conflict management problems. Alright, so I'll put these ones up on the board so that we can refer back to them later. What we'll go through now is just the policy that the SCC has created. It's the new one, so you guys haven't seen it before. I'll just show you. This is the handout. Thank you. Thank you. Alright, so it's in a couple of different sections. The first part is the scope and the statement of intent. So we support the belief that each individual has the right to raise their grievance relating to dispute resolution and have it reviewed with fairly, objectively and promptly by appropriate members of management. We are committed to ensuring successful dispute resolutions to all grievances raised. All facts and external factors are to be considered and a verdict reached in a timely fashion. So that is what we wish to achieve out of this procedure. The rest is the stakeholders, which is every individual in the business. Everybody has a part to play in conflict management. The roles and responsibilities is that it's the line manager's responsibility to communicate effectively, and it is the role of the supervisor to maintain the working relationships. The process, we don't have to go through the whole process, but basically as soon as a manager or a member of the leadership team receives a grievance or a dispute, they must get a statement and then they must start immediate follow-up. So they have to investigate. They have no option just to throw it under the table. That's not the way we do things. That's not part of our values. So once we do that, the review, human resources, the HR team are going to review it every 2 years, unless the vision and values change, in which case they'll have to review it as well, or the Fair Work Act changes again, in which case it will have to be reviewed again to make sure it reaches legislation. Okay, is there any problems with that? Easily understood, Jen? Yeah. You'll find this on the intranet if you ever want to scroll through or if you ever need it, and if you ever need help, you can always talk to the HR team. They're always willing to help as well. Alright, so the next part is, I just want to talk about 2 different techniques that we can use. The first one for conflict management is mediation. This one's for just minor, I suppose you'd call them minor disputes between 2 colleagues. So when I talk about mediation, what do you think mediation means?
Sitting team members and management down and discussing the issues and trying to come up with a resolution.
That is exactly what it means. So it's getting the 2 parties and a manager sitting in a room, closed door, and they each tell their perspectives, how they each feel and how it's making them feel and what they'd like to achieve. And the managers just make sure that the conversation is steered healthily. You don't want accusations, unfairness, bias, judgmental. You just want to keep it real. If that doesn't work, then we need to move to other techniques. But this one is really effective if you've got 2 adults sitting down in a closed room. Generally, we can work out our problems. Okay, so the next one is negotiation. There's a couple of different ways we can negotiate. The best way is we want a win-win situation for both parties, leadership and the team member. We don't want a party walking away feeling, especially the leader, but we don't want anybody walking away feeling that they're lost, that they haven't got a say, that they've been forced to do something that they don't want to do. So, there's 2 types. If the issue is more important than the relationship, it's called positioning bargaining. That means you're going to go harder because you're stressing the issue and you don't care if you're going to wreck the relationship with the team member. If the relationship is more important than the issue, it's called principled negotiation, and you go in wanting to preserve that relationship. So you may be willing to compromise a little bit more. Okay, so the first one is a compromise, which is a win-win situation. Both parties win, you're both willing to compromise. You will both get what you want. maybe not everything that you want, but you'll walk away feeling that you have achieved something. Okay, the next one is a collaboration, which again is a win-win. It's similar, but a collaboration is bringing both your ideas to the party. Saying, I think we should do this, oh, but I think we should do this, maybe we can incorporate it. So you're getting the best of both worlds. So that is an excellent one. The next one is competition. This one is not the best. It's a win-lose situation. So one person goes in and they want to win at all costs. They don't care how the other person feels, what they get out of it, what they achieve, nothing. They just want to win. The next one is accommodation. This one can be good and can be bad. Accommodation is when one person walks in and they're willing to accommodate the other person's needs. So it can be good, however that person just may be doing it because they're an introvert. They may be too scared to open up. They may not like conflict. Or they may just see the other person's perspective and may be willing to do what they need. So we just got to look into why they're willing to compromise, because it's not in human nature. We want what we want. And if you're not willing, then there might be some deeper meaning. So we need to look into that. The last one is the withdrawal. The withdrawal is actually the worst one. It means the person that had the problem now does not wish to pursue. So they either don't want conflict management, they don't want to go through the dispute problem, they don't care anymore, they've lost their passion, and they don't care about the relationship with the person that they've had a dispute with because they don't want to fix it. So if there is a withdrawal, it is best to just have a conversation with the person and say, what happened? What's the matter? Can we resolve this? Even through mediation, rather than going through a proper sit down, can we just talk? Can we have a chat? If we need to, we'll go externally off the property. We'll have a coffee. We'll sit down, we'll chat. Okay, so there are a couple of different techniques. Is there any that you'd say that you could actually do yourself? No? My favourite, if I had to pick any, I always like the compromise or the collaboration. The collaboration one achieves your best outcomes. You both come in with different ideas and you can both get a little bit of what you want. Maybe not everything, but everybody can't always win. Okay, so today we've covered off on dealing with conflict management, the procedure. We've covered off on the intent, the scope, and we've covered off on a couple of different techniques. Do you guys feel a little bit more comfortable in handling conflict management?
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. All right, thanks guys. We'll see you next time.